You'll be
Welcome,
fine.
everyone. Thanks for joining All Access Belize. My name is David Kafka. I'm your host for tonight. And we have a very exciting two guests. Melanie Wilcher is a good friend of mine. She is on the, not on the board, she is the president of the Placencia Humane Society. And she has a business called Pets on a Jet. And she's also, you know, we do work together. She is a broker in for Century 21. And so we fight sometimes, but we're like brother and sister. We get over it.
We rarely fight.
And her boyfriend is Charles Grant. He is a contractor. And so tonight, tonight twofold is I want to get everybody caught up because I've had quite a few people asking about the CDC and bringing animals to Belize. And that's not the issue. The issue is taking them back to the US. So Melanie's job with Pets on a Jet is to help people facilitate taking her animals or your animals wherever you go. It doesn't have to be the US, doesn't have to be Canada, but I would imagine, and she'll talk about that, is majority of that. So we welcome you tonight. And then also we'll take your questions on construction. We've had, you know, contractors before, one from Hopkins, and then we'll probably bring one on from San Pedro and Cayo in the next few months. But Charles has been born and raised in Belize. And so without further ado, we'll introduce them and then we'll let them kind of tell a little bit about their story, where they're from, how long they've been in Placencia, and what they do, and then we'll start taking questions. If you would, though, so I don't have to toggle back and forth, just put all your questions in the question and answer box. And then we also want to welcome Rebecca. She is on my team, and she's the one that helps run this and helps run a lot of the back end of my different companies. So we welcome you, Rebecca. And so Melanie, why don't we start with you ladies first? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, kind of how long you've been in Belize, and then we'll turn it over to Charles.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Melanie, as you were introduced. So I've been in Belize. I came April 2015. So I'm coming up on my 7-year anniversary. The first thing I did when I got here the first 6 months is I started volunteering with all the organizations to determine where my niche was and where I wanted to be in the Humane Society, which is always, animals have always been my love. So that's was an easy choice. And so immediately was invited to come on board and help in a bigger level. And then David was president for the first few years that I was there. And then I was vice chair underneath him, and then I moved up to president. But during that interim, during my time in the beginning, we used to ship a lot of dogs out for people who come down here on vacation, and the dogs adopt them, basically. They kind of rescue people in a sense. They sleep on your doorstep and follow you to the beach bars for lunch and sleep on the chairs below you and follow you back home and up and down the sidewalks. And we get the call, David's like shaking his head, he knows the story. It's like we get the call that, oh, we fell in love with this dog and we really would like to take him back. And so we would help facilitate that. And up until 2018, about July 2018, we were able to do that. But then they changed all the regulations where you had to have a licensed shipper. And since I had been kind of doing it, it just kind of made sense I keep doing it. And so I thought it was just going to be like a little, you know, just kind of helping people out and getting street dogs on. And it was like that for a minute. And then it quickly turned into an explosion of, I'm like the dog lady that knows how to move dogs around the world. So I ended up creating this little business called Pets on a Jet, and it is, well, then we had more regulation changes with the CDC, which we're going to talk about today. with moving dogs into the United States. Up until that point, majority of what I was shipping out, which was about, I would say 80% of the dogs were street dogs that had been rescued or and I work with all the humane societies in the country. So people go to the shelters or get in touch with them in their area, and then they see what dogs are available and adopt them and take them home. I've had some clients that have adopted 2 and 3 dogs from Belize, and I've shipped them clear up into Canada and London and Africa and all over the world. So and now it's expanded. I've shipped snakes and parrots and all sorts of things.
That's awesome.
So
And
anyway,
to
that's
get
what I'm doing.
licensed- To get licensed, it's not like you just fill out a piece of paper. Talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
what you had to do to become a licensed shipper.
Yeah, that's a really good point. To become a licensed shipper, it costs $2,500 and I have to go through IATA training, which is what IATA is the organization that oversees all of air travel in the world. They oversee the FAA. They control all aircraft in the air and everybody underneath. And so I had to go through testing and courses through them. It was extensive. It was, man, I learned a lot. I didn't even realize how much there was to shipping. And it's getting more and more serious because what had happened is so many animals were being injured or dying on planes because people were shipping them and not knowing what they're doing. And so I understand now why they're requiring a license, and it is really important because there's a lot of issues to it. So yeah, the license was intense. It took me months to do it and a lot of money, and now I'm able to do it. I can ship any animal anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and it's not really inexpensive. It's pretty expensive to ship an animal, and yet you kind of have figured out how to do it more cost effective so more people can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And if you want, guys, in the chat box is Pets on a Jet email. So if you want to come to Belize and you want to bring your pet, reach out to Melanie. She'll help get all the paperwork with Baja together. Also, if you're in Belize and you want to ship your animals back, feel free to reach out to her with any questions and she can help you. So let's turn it over to your other half, Mr. Charles. Tell us a little bit about Charles. Where are you from? How long you've been in Placencia, and kind of your experience.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm actually from Rosalo, or I've been in Placencia for like about 6.5 years now. So, just doing what I love doing, construction. So.
How long have you been doing it?
Yeah, I've been doing construction for about 29 years or so now. I start from scratch to finish, every and anything. So.
Very, very good. And you deal with concrete or wood or both?
It'll be every and anything. Yeah,
Okay.
Wood, concrete, definitely.
And you have all the subs that will help you, go from the ground to moving in.
Definitely.
Good, very good. So I don't see really a lot of questions coming in. So if you want to send your questions in, feel free. But before we do, Melanie, tell us a little bit about what the CDC did, why they did it, and kind of what's the latest on that. Because I have a lot of people, we have a lot of friends, Regina and Susan Blackman, who's bought a property here. She always comes every year. They bring their dogs and they want to bring them back. And even if the dog had its shots, lives in the States, they can't come here and go back. Is that correct?
That's correct. Is what happened is the CDC put a restriction on Belize as putting us high risk for rabies. But the fact is we have not had canine rabies since 1982. Is what it is basically is Belize, you can go into our Reimer's feed stores and buy rabies off the shelf and administer it yourself. So it's not regulated. in the United States, in most areas, it's regulated by vet, has to be documented and given by a veterinarian. Here, we don't do that. So the CDC doesn't like that program. The other thing is rabies is not controlled by BAHA. It's controlled by the Minister of Health. And Baja has been trying to get it out of the Minister of Health's hands from the beginning because they feel it should be under their jurisdiction and not the Minister of Health. Minister of Health obviously disagrees. I think part of it, to be truthful, is because Mennonites control it, the rabies. So it's a bit of a battle. It's a political battle a little bit. And I think that's what the CDC, in fact, it pretty much have said that's what it's about, is trying to basically bully us into their protocol and in their mind making it a safer environment for rabies. But we also bring in rabies, have rabies donated, and they do a mass giveaway of rabies in the country, and they'll just do mass rabies vaccinations. So it's another reason we don't have rabies here. We did see a bovine outbreak a couple of years ago, and that was quickly put right back under control. And it was only up in the north, and it was only seen in a few cattle. Other than that, we've not seen rabies at all. So the CDC put this regulation in. If your dog, if you bring a dog into Belize, it's pretty simple. And I can talk about that, those simple procedures. But if you bring a dog back into the United States, even if it was just here a month, they're going to deny it, and they're denying it even more so to vacation travel. That is the least of their concerns is vacation travel. Service dogs, military dogs are allowed under import permits. I personally have a service dog and applied the day that the announcement was made, and I still have not gotten an import permit. But part of that is because, and I was going she needed to go for medical reasons, and I also was going for medical reasons. And I was denied, but I was primarily denied because she needs one of the requirements is a titer test. So if you're bringing your dog in, make sure you have a titer test that's good for a while. The titer test is a rabies blood lab work that needs to be sent in to get an import permit, which would be required to get back into the United States. Now, I've heard of a few people getting import permits. One service dog couple did. They got it, and they got it in about 3 weeks. So that was good. And they did it with service dog, and they had the titer test and got it done and got out of here. So now, I know there's a lady that just bought a resort here, and she got her import permit before she came in. And so she came in with her dog, and she already has her import permit to leave. So if you plan ahead, that sounds like a really good angle and way to do it. So you just need to allow, I would say, for about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time minimum. They're only good for a period of time. They're time sensitive as well. So, but that would be a possible way to do it, is apply for the import permit ahead of time. She's a vacation traveler and a business owner traveler, so they issued it to her. So that's excellent news. And I don't believe that was a service dog. So yeah, so that's good news. So I'm starting to hear about some approvals, and that's really positive. I did check with Baja today to get an update to let you guys know if there's anything new. There's nothing. There's no movement. There's some legislation going on to get CDC out of it, because the argument is they have no jurisdiction in it, that it should be administered by the USDA, not CDC. So we'll see where that goes. Those are long processes. The local vets here on the Baja organization are saying it could be a year or more before we see any movement on this. It started July 14th. So we're really only a few months into it. So the other thing I'm doing to get people in is we're starting to see more and more private charters. I just had one come in 2 weeks ago. I've got one coming in another week. Another one coming 2 weeks after that. It's working out where there's enough people that are flexible on their dates. So people are moving here, for example, Um, they can, and they have dogs. That's the other thing I didn't even mention. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead.
You have to be like a group of people to
Yeah, they
So
share
if
the
it's
plane.
let me just go back a second. So
Yeah,
you said if it's a chartered flight, they can bring the dogs in and take them back out?
no, I was getting ahead of myself, and so I stopped myself there because I was confusing things. The other issue that's starting to happen is short snout dogs and pit bulls or strong jaw dogs. It's about being strong jaw. Pit bulls are strong jaw. Mastiffs are strong jaws. They can tear out of their cages. And so Amerijet has always had no breed restrictions. Amerijet flies out of Miami. They're a cargo carrier only. So you get your dog to Miami, you can put your dog on. I've flown lots of strong jaws and short snout dogs, snub nose. And about a month ago, they announced no more. And yesterday I got the notice with a list of the dog breeds that they're not allowing. They won't allow boxers, bulldogs, any short snout dogs at all, not even partial breeds. So if you have a dog that's like a mixed with a boxer and a shepherd or something, and it doesn't look boxer and it's not short snout, you would definitely not want to mention that on any documentation. So if it doesn't have a short snout, just don't mention that breed, and Amerijet will take them then. But so that's also a new restriction, which is where I was getting to the private charter, because all of these people coming in have short snout dogs. And if you share a plane, it ends up being, even if you don't have a short snout dog, it ends up being almost the same as if you were going to, you know, by the time you drive to Miami, book your Amerijet flight, and do the whole thing, it ends up being comparable cost, and you're on a private jet. So, and then the customs is easier. Baja's the same. They're wonderful to deal with. But customs is much easier because you have a VIP concierge that brings you through customs, and you don't get hassled as much as you would if you're coming in on a commercial airplane. And I found some really good charters that have pretty comparable prices. Got one right now coming in that'll hold 8 passengers, and it's 17,000. So with dogs, and if you split that up, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all. That's 17,000.
Yeah,
That's about $2,100 a piece.
yeah, it's not bad. You're taking your
Wow.
dog with you, and it's going to be sitting right there
Yep.
next to you. They don't
Yep.
necessarily require them to be in crates either. So if you have a well-mannered dog that's not
Right.
aggressive towards people or you know,
other animals.
other animals, yeah.
Yeah.
And Charles, by the way, helps me with all my shipping. He's always there, right there, right there with me with all my shipping.
Awesome.
Gotta do it,
Awesome. So can we get a tiger test here?
Yeah, Animal Medical Center does them, and they also do the microchips, which Placencia Humane Society didn't donate, but provided those to them. So
Correct.
they do. You have to go to Animal Medical Center. You can potentially get the blood draw with your local vet if you're in Belize, and then send it over to Animal Medical Center. They charge 450 Belize dollars for the titer test, for the microchip, for the whole bit to get the package together for what you need, everything you need. And
Very good.
so that's not bad because it's expensive. It's got to be cold and shipped correctly and the whole bit. So
Right.
if it comes back with any kind of diverse positive or anything off, then you won't get a positive, and then you can't travel. So I was going to mention something else. That's something else I was going to mention. Baja,
think
that's
of
what I
it.
was gonna,
While you think of it, let's just, we got one question, Nancy Shore. She's asking, I'm moving to Placencia first of the year. There's no direct flight from Phoenix. What's the best way to fly them down?
Phoenix in January or right after the 1st. I don't know what the temperature is then, but Phoenix goes into a embargo for heat. In Phoenix, depending on the breed, I can fly American Airlines. We can fly them on American out of there as long as the heat is below 85 degrees in Belize and Phoenix and any connecting. So if it's American, it would connect to Dallas. So you would check Phoenix, Dallas, and Belize for temperatures. And if you use me to ship, I pretty much take all of the headache and worry out of it. I make sure it's the right plane, it's the right temperature, everything is ready to go. Yeah, because American right now, we're starting to cool off here in Belize, so we'll start being able to ship with American Airlines again. They are the only way, other than Amerijet, to get your dog in and out of Belize. There's basically, let me back up. There's 4 ways you can drive through Mexico with your dogs. A lot of people choose to do that. It is a safe option. And there's really good people that can help you facilitate that. Even if you wanted to hire a shipper or somebody to bring them through, there's a couple of people that do that. You can go Amerijet, which is cargo flight only out of Miami. You just got to get your dog to Miami. There are ground shippers in the US that I use. They're wonderful. They're fabulous. That is the most expensive part of the whole trip. And then there is American Airlines, which only flies with 85 or below temperatures. So right now we've been shut down on American for a number of months, but we should be opening back up. So Phoenix should be okay in January still, I think.
What, so United stopped it then?
United had stopped their Pet Safe program right after COVID, and they have not reinstated it. However, I was just talking to one of the representatives at the airport last week, and he said they're starting to talk about some new training. So I'm hoping that they are restarting their Pet Safe program. Pet Safe program was fabulous. It was my favorite program they have. They have environmentally safe cargo areas. They're all environmentally controlled, so the temperatures stay in a certain range. We don't have to worry about heat in Phoenix or heat in Belize. So your dogs are safe. They were a wonderful team to deal with, and I'm really excited if they come back on again. So maybe we'll see that this next year. To ship your dog to Toronto, Toronto's a big one, or Canada per se. We not only have all the airlines we're talking about, or all the problems we're talking about, Canada has a different issue, which is the border controls because of COVID. So what I understand right now, maybe that's loosened up. That's the thing you got to watch all the time, because I've seen them loosen and then I've seen them tighten again, where Canadians can cross the border into the US or US can cross the border into Canada. Is what I've had to do to get dogs in and out of Canada is I have to use a shipper on, like for Toronto, it would be in Buffalo. So I could fly the dog to Buffalo. We'd have to use a transient shipper that would do a transit. It's a transit permit that allows the dog just to transition through the United States. It's tricky, and we're only in the beginning sorting this out. I don't even know if the CDC has figured this stuff out yet. But so we'd have to fly the dog to Buffalo, get a shipper and transit into Canada, and there can be a handoff delivered to your door in Canada, or you can pick them up at the border on the Canadian side. So it is possible. It does get a little expensive because you're dealing with a number of different shippers and things like that. So it can be like $3,500. Well, yeah, it could be like $3,500 or maybe even more. It depends on the size of the dog, crate size, and things like that. So I see Deborah has a question. Small dogs in carrier under the seat. Yes, they do. Most of them are, it's about 12 inches. Depends. Some say 12, some say 13. But it can be a soft side carrier, so it can be a little smushy. And as long as they fit under the seat, you're fine. And it's below, different airlines have different rules. Some are 20 and some are 25 pounds. So you got to look at each airline, but they're usually right in those realms. 12 to 13 inches tall to the top of their head, standing normally. If you want to measure, it's best to measure to your leg, because if you put a tape measure to them, they start thinking it's playtime. So measure them right next to your leg when you're like petting their head, and then you can measure with the tape measure your leg. So so that it's just yes, they'll fit under the seat. And yeah, but again, even with a dog in a carrier going into the United States, you still have to have an import permit. And okay, Nancy has a question. I have the paper to fill out from Baja. Do I send that in now, or do I just bring it with me when it comes to bring the vet paperwork. You're talking about coming into Belize, Nancy. So first of all, the thing I forgot to mention earlier was the BAHA requires the fee to be paid in advance before they issue the permit. They started doing that because many people were canceling. You'd pay when you arrive, but they were canceling, so they never got paid for their work. So now they require payment ahead of time. So that fee has to be paid ahead of time, which is a $50 per permit. You can put, if you're coming with multiple dogs, whatever species. So let's say you have 2 dogs, you can put them both on one permit. It's $50, and then it's $10 per head for inspection when you arrive additional. So you would fill that BAHA form out now and send that in. It depends on when your arrival date is, though. They're only good for 90 days. I think 90 days. I'm pretty sure it's 90 days they're good for. So just as long as you're traveling within 90 days, you're good. And then send that in. They do not need your vet paper. You'll only do the permit. Email that in. Oh, sorry, got a call coming in. Sorry about that. So you just send the BAHA permit in, bring your vaccine paper, your rabies papers, your import permit. Upon the originals with you on arrival, BAHA will look at those, charge you the $10 per head, and then you're good to go. So, US dollars.
A BAHA fee is US or Belize?
It's Belize dollars. So it's 25 US, 50 Belize for the BAHA fee per permit, and $10 Belize, $5 US per inspection fee. So you'll pay, and make sure you bring the receipt that shows you paid it, because they will email you a receipt. And when I send my BAHA permit in, I always ask for confirmation of receipt, because many people don't do that and they won't reply. They'll just wait till right before you travel before they answer. So just say, can you please confirm you've received it? And then don't expect to hear anything for a while. The next thing you'll hear is either 1, if they need something else, or B, here's your permit. But keep that receipt, a copy of it.
Exactly.
And then they'll charge you the $10, $5 US, $10 Belize. So Nancy says, I have 3 dogs, so 150 plus 30. No, if you have 3 dogs, you can put them all on the same permit, Nancy. So it's a $50 one-time fee. Put them all on the same BAHA import permit, and then it'll be the $30 for $10 per head. So you'll only be charged $80 Belize.
Very good. All right. If you come in late, we're with Melanie and Charles. Charles does some construction. Melanie does, among other things, she does real estate and she does pets on a jet. So we're taking your questions for pets, for construction. Charles has done construction in Corozal, I'm sure. He's done construction in Placencia. So if you have any questions on any of that, feel free to put them on the question and answer box, not the chat box, but the question and answer box, please. And what other questions was I going to ask? Okay, so Nancy's asking again, how does one send the money along to Baja?
Well, it helps to have a local account or know somebody that'll pay it, and you can send it to them. Nancy, you have 3 dogs, is what I'd suggest for you is to email me at petsonthejet@gmail.com, and I can talk to you about your dogs and make sure they all qualify for any for cargo. And I've helped a few people that don't have the options to pay BAHA, so you can send me the PayPal money and then I'll pay it for you and send you the receipt. So I've done that for a few people and that weren't able to facilitate that payment. I don't like to do it a lot, but I certainly am willing to help you out.
Now, Melanie, so the restriction to the U.S. from the CDC, it wasn't just Belize, right? It was like
no,
100 countries, right?
Yeah, like 99 or 100 countries. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I think the only reason that we were listed is simply because they want us to comply with United States standards of rabies control. The interesting thing is the rabies is currently active in the United States. They have open rabies cases in canines. But is what started it all was there was a huge rescue out of Russia, I believe, if I remember correctly, like hundreds and hundreds of dogs that came out of Russia. And out of those dogs, 439, they found falsified records, and some of those had active rabies. So that's what kind of got this whole negative ball rolling. It was a rescue operation. So it really got the rest of us having some bad luck.
Wow.
I mean, Mexico has active rabies. You can go to Mexico. That's an option. You can go to Mexico, and if you've got to be 6 months in another country. So I know a couple of people that have just gone to Mexico for 6 months, and then once you're there, you get new updated vet records. Then you can travel on to the U.S. with no problem. So that is an option to get out of here if you have that ability to go to Mexico for a while.
Man, that's crazy. Okay, Deborah had a question. If she adopts a cat or two in Belize, is there a test to see if the cat is FELV or FIV positive? My 2 cats who were imported from the US are negative, so I don't want to risk infecting them.
Yes, feline leukemia, they can test for that, definitely. And cats are not under this law at all, so cats can travel back and forth easily and in cabin, so no problem at all. It's 1 animal per person, up to 5 in cabin is usually the rule. So if you're thinking about bringing 2 cats, make sure you have 2 people to travel with you, 2 people, 1 for each cat, and book early, because if they get 3 other animals on there, then you're not going to be, there won't be room for 2 cats. But you can get tested for feline leukemia.
Well, okay, very good. So Daryl is good evening from Singapore. Wow, welcome, Daryl. Thank you for your webinar. Oh, you're welcome very much, and thanks for listening. I'm returning back to Canada in December and planning to visit Belize in January. What's the current requirements for entering regarding vaccinations from there? I'm going to spend around 10 days, explore Ambergris, Key Cocker, Long Key. Can you tell me what the best way to plan in order to possibly meet and look at investments? Is Long Key a great opportunity, or is it too far by boat and lack of amenities on the island? So good questions. Right now, the current vaccination requirements it is mandatory to have a vaccination to enter a government building. That just went into effect. They are now asking, or kind of saying, that if you go into a restaurant, you have to be vaccinated or show proof of vaccination. So we do have some new rules coming in from the Biden administration, where you're going to have to be tested within 24 hours to get back into the US. But for Belize right now, I believe it's 96 hours still, a negative COVID test or a vaccination card. So other than that, there's no mandatory vaccination to come into Belize. So hope that helps for that. To explore Ambergris Key or Key Cocker, I would pick a reputable real estate agent that maybe does one, both, or all 3 of them. Long Key, we do have some lots on Long Key that we sell. The one that we have, there's a couple Long Keys out there, and Melanie, feel free to chime in as well. There is a restaurant, there's a small resort and things like that out there. It is a hike, so and they're very eco-conscious, so it's composting toilets and things like that. So if you want to live kind of with running water, with flushing toilets and things like that, you might want to think twice about Long Key. But the rest is just kind of based on how you want to go, and we'll have some emails for my email and Melanie's email, because Melanie is a Century 21 agent, here in Placencia. So I don't know if do you do anything outside of Placencia?
Yeah, I'm starting to do a little bit of Hopkins and PG, and I do islands for sure. I've sold a few islands, so I don't know much about Long Key, the one down here anyway. The Long Key down here I've heard is starting to sell some lots out there, but that's been pretty much not, it's not developed. It's,
No.
I mean, there's a few private homes on it, but I don't even think they've had any resort rentals on it. I think that's kind of a new thing I've only recently heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like Ambergris or Key Copper, that's for sure.
For sure, for sure. So I do live part-time in Ambergris. I don't spend a lot of time in real estate out there outside of Mahogany Bay, but I can help, if you want, and I can definitely point you to some other agents out there if you want. So also always check the BTB website because the rules are changing probably every 2 weeks. The curfew is now 9 o'clock. It was 7 o'clock for, areas outside of San Pedro, Hopkins, Placencia, Key Cocker. But now the whole country is pretty much 9 o'clock. There's no alcohol sales after 6 o'clock at the grocery store, but you can go to the bar still. So, but again, they do change pretty often. So make sure you keep track or follow us on Facebook or whatever, because we do send out newsletters every week and we kind of update at least every 2 weeks on what's going on with COVID. So any other questions? We've had some good questions. We got about 20 more minutes. So if you have any other questions, if not, I have a couple for Charles and Charles, what, you've helped us a lot with the Humane Society in Placencia. You've helped us build a wall. We're getting ready to move our building in Placencia to a lot that we have been able to secure with some very nice donations. What about construction cost in Placencia? What are you seeing? In the States, materials are, wood materials were going up like crazy. Now they're starting to come back down.
Going up, David.
They are going up.
But yeah, I mean, the rebars are going sky high right now. So.
Okay.
I mean, if you need to construct, this is the best time, I guess.
What are you seeing for cost per construction? I mean, I know cost per square foot is probably the worst way to bid a house because, it's going to cost more to build a kitchen versus a deck. But average, what's kind of a square foot price average that somebody listening, and we do take this and it goes on our YouTube video, and Melanie, you'll be able to have this to send it to your clients as well. So what are you seeing as far as cost per square foot, time to build, things like that?
Well, to be honest, I saw the price was like about 150, per square feet or so. Right now, it's actually like about 190 up to probably 210. So it's definitely sky high right now. So.
Going up.
That's concrete.
And that's what.
That is. Oh yeah, that is concrete.
Gotcha. And what kind of finishings?
It depends on what you want. If you want smooth surface, I mean, your stucco could be smooth, it could be rough, textured, whatever. It depends on what the client actually wants.
I mean, marble tops.
Yeah. Well, marble top would be interior finishing. So, yeah.
That's sweet.
So the interior on that square foot price would get you basic amenities, or would it be like high-end finishings, like Melanie was saying, marble and things like that?
Well, I mean, the marble would be more like a 210 or so, but the rough textures and stuff would be probably, like I said, like 150 right up to like 190.
Okay, very good, very good. And Charles's email is charlesgrantconstruction@gmail.com. It is on the chat box. Also, petsonthejet@gmail.com is on there. So again, we're happy to take any of your questions. I wonder if this was a little early. Our attendance has not been too good, but we normally do it a little bit later today. But I had got a couple messages from people that they're stuck at work and can't make it tonight. So we will make it available for everybody.
If they
Tell
have
us kinda-
questions, they can always shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help them out. And then I know that there's a lot of there's so many questions when it comes to pet shipping, and usually, you know, they can just shoot me we can set up a Zoom meeting or a WhatsApp call or something, and I can usually put a lot of their concerns at bay. You know, basically, if they hire me to ship their pet, they pretty much don't have to do anything other than let me step them through it. I take care of everything for them. They will only need to take their dog to the vet to get the import permit or the international health certificate. I think I told one of the ladies earlier an import permit, but it's an international health certificate, vaccine record, and rabies record that you need to present to BAHA. The import permit comes from BAHA, just to make that clear in case I said that wrong. So, and a crate, and I can help you determine what exact size of crate. Basically, it needs to be 3 inches over their head. And when you measure at a normal stance, by they're standing normally, not with their head up high and excited, but if they're just standing with their normal neck in their normal stance, as they would relax. And what that is they say to top of the ears, but you can give a little fluff on the ears because some dogs, like German Shepherds, have ears that could be 5 inches tall. So, you know, it's okay if they're, you know, you take a few inches off of that. So, anyway, I can help you determine crate size. I see you have some more questions up here.
Yeah, let me ask one question. So let's say I'm getting ready to hire you to ship my animals or my pets. What kind of time frame do you need? Do you need a week? Do you need a month? You know, what would you say would be optimum for you to get everything done?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question, David. I can't even book the flight until 10 days prior to travel. So many people contact me a year ahead, and you know, we can discuss some loose figures, but for me, I can't really do anything till within 10 days ahead of travel. So it's not unusual for me to get it done in 3 days. I can do last minute stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So the trickiest part is the BAHA permit, but BAHA I work with them all the time, and they're usually really quick with my permits. I try not to stress them too much, but they do shine whenever I need them to. So I've not had any issue with them. So I can get it done very quick if necessary.
very good. Okay. All right. So Liz is, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, Liz. Is the PHS building a shelter in the new lot? Would Placencia benefit from a boarding facility? You want to answer that one? Sure,
I'll answer it. We are not going to have a shelter. What we will have is holding areas for animals. We're going to triage a little bit with, or we're going to share, so to speak, with Crocodile Research Coalition. It just makes sense that we work together. We'll have areas to hold domestic and wild animals, just temporarily to get them to the proper facility they need to get to, or to get to a vet or whatever, because that is a problem right now. Sometimes we can't rescue an animal because we have nowhere to put them. We are not going to have a shelter. It's been shown in Belize that can be a little problematic, a lot of dog dumping and puppies dumping and stuff like that. Having said that, Liz, yes, I think there's a huge need for it. One thing that we get questioned all the time for is pet sitters. Is there a place I can board my dog for the weekend while I'm gone? I'm going to the US for a week. Who can pet sit for me? Dr. Mia Canton at Sand Creek Animal Health Hospital has one. But you know, it's not like home. It's more like a kennel, and we're thankful for it. And there are a few other places further out in the country, but here in this end of the world, yes, we need one. I think you would be busy all the time with people traveling and wanting their dogs in a loving facility, and they get walked and loved and petted and played with. We have nothing like that.
I agree 100%. There's one in San Pedro, and it's a pet sitting, and they stay busy. You see them on the golf cart with 4 or 5 dogs, and they take them for a walk. And It's
Oh.
awesome. So I definitely think Placencia that'd be an awesome business for somebody to do here.
Yeah,
So
I'd love to see
thank you for
that.
that question. Yeah. Mike is asking, the prices that we quoted are US or Belize, and that is US money. So again, it was around 135 to 150, but with construction prices, because as you know, everything gets imported. We have, I don't know, what do we have here? We have probably cement, and then everything else gets imported, right?
Well, we have sand and gravel that is pretty cheap, but like I said,
Yeah.
it depends on the type you want to use. So,
And some of the
Yes.
wood is from here, but
well,
Correct.
yeah, but it,
Yeah.
it'll be
most
basically
everything
hardwood.
else, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the treated lumber comes from the US and Canada, I believe. And I see
Most
the
of it,
Mennonite, or not the Mennonites, the Lebanese in San Pedro, they're bringing in wood from Brazil. They're sheetrock, and they're not sheetrock, they're plywood, because of it was just cheaper, and they weren't seeing the price increase like they were in the U.S. So yeah, so the prices have gone up just like everywhere, and so the cost of construction here has gone up, but he could definitely get you a quote once you have some plans. That would probably be the best way to send him an email and get a quote.
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine, Charles, you do remodel as well. So if somebody
Oh,
bought a house,
definitely.
upper,
Definitely, we could.
good.
That's for sure.
Okay. So definitely reach out and give him a call. Nancy's asking, happened to be off work today, and yeah, it is a little early. So yeah, thanks for that feedback. This is the first time we've done it at 5 o'clock, and I guess we're on mountain time right now until daylight savings time, and then we switch to, because we don't change, US changes. So it'll be more on central time. So thanks for that feedback. That's very good. And we definitely probably won't have it at 5 o'clock again. So, because I do see a lot of people are at work, and normally we have around 35 or so people, but, and it was kind of last minute with, normally we promote more, but I wanted Melanie on here because of the dogs and shipping them, and how frustrating it is. I'm sure it's frustrating for you, especially with Paisley,
Yeah.
having to take Paisley back, and so what's kind of update us on what's going on? Did you get the tiger test for Paisley, or
I
can't
did, I
believe-
sent it off, it's going, this is the third week, I'm waiting, I should be getting it back anytime, any day I should get it back. It takes about 3 weeks, goes to Kansas University as the closest lab. And they run the lab results, and then they send them back digitally, and then they send the original in the mail. So they say 6 weeks for the return of the titers test to get it physically in your hand, which I believe you need to travel. So it's been interesting going through this process. It's not, you got to send pictures of the dog's teeth. You got to show them physically. You got to like get them to smile and show all their teeth. And Paisley's from the US. She's had many vaccinations in the United States. She travels with me all the time. She's traveled more in the air than most people have. So if anybody should have been able to travel, it should have been her, but they didn't deny me, they just haven't approved it. They just keep saying, oh, now we need this, now we need that. We need a better tooth picture. We need,
Man. So that's the CDC saying that, or that's
yeah, CDC. Yep. And
I hold
Yeah.
my tongue on what I feel about the CDC.
I know, right? I'm with you there. I think Baja is frustrated because they would like to, I think they feel like they fix this pretty quickly, but the Minister of Health isn't really allowing them in there. And then the Minister of Health has their hands full with COVID. So got a frog right here to hear it. It sounds like a bird or something, but
Right upstairs.
it's a frog. It's loud.
That's funny. I have geckos and you have a frog.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, let's talk a little bit about real estate, Melanie. I know we have had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I've had a really good year. I've been busy again. It's been slow a little bit, which has been appreciated. I've appreciated it. I've needed it with all my stuff going on. But it's picking back up again. I have got some good listings coming on the market, and I'm starting to see people come back in, booking trips, coming back in.
Yep.
Yeah, are you starting? Have you seen that too?
We haven't slowed down a lot. I guess we have, our leads have slowed down.
Yeah.
I can see our website leads have dropped about 20-30%, which is kind of normal. But we're still writing offers, and we closed on Mariposa last week, so he's going to be
Congratulations. I didn't know who sold it.
wonderful.
That's excellent.
Yeah, he's going to be a wonderful. He's a retired deputy sheriff, so he wants to give back to the police department and all that. And he's definitely a Southern gentleman. He's definitely a nice addition to the village. So
That's great.
happy for that. Mike is asking, where's the best place to look for rentals? Mike, that's really a question on where you want to be. If you want to be on the ocean, then you'd want to look at Placencia, Hopkins, Key Cocker, San Pedro, Corozal, PG. If you want to be in the jungle, then it would be more Cayo, I would think, or the Stan Creek district, in one of the outskirts. A lot of what I have seen is a lot of people are moving to long-term rentals instead of the short-term because of the frustrations they have with the BTB. But they seem to be making things a little easier now with COVID, and they're doing 2-year renewals instead of 1 year. So right now rentals are pretty plentiful. So if you if you want to reach out to on VRBO or Airbnb, or Facebook has some long-term and short-term rental pages. They're good to look at, or just Google rentals in Belize, and then some properties or some property managers will come up.
Down here, there's the Placencia. There's a Placencia rental page that's pretty active, and you can also just post what you're looking for, and you'll probably get about 10 offers or so. So that's another idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Susan, I heard that long-term rentals are now considered only 6 months instead of a year. Is that true? I've not heard that. I've heard it's always been a year. In Belize, it's always with the BTB. Anything under a year is considered short-term, and you have to pay the 9% hotel tax. Anything over a year, you're good to go, and it should be considered long-term. But if you've heard that, I'd love to see where you heard that, or if you saw a link. As you know, fake news is pretty prevalent everywhere. So definitely, reach out. I mean, I know a lot of people say it's 6 months, but according to the BTB, it's a year.
Here's Paisley.
Hi, Paisley. She doesn't like me though.
I know, she never liked you. She let you pet her a second. That was an improvement.
I know she did, right?
And then she's like, oh, it's him petting me.
That's right. Then she went away.
He's grumpy though.
I appreciate everybody who attended. Again, it's David Kafka. I'm here in Placencia this week. I leave tomorrow to San Pedro. So I appreciate you coming on and listening. We will video this, or we have recorded this. And we thank our guest, Melanie, and we'll have you back on again for definitely some updates. And Charles, we'll get back on when we have some more people. Mike, you're very welcome. And again, Melanie is petsonajet@gmail.com, and Charles Grant construction@gmail.com. So we appreciate everything y'all have done, and thanks for your contribution to Placencia. And thanks everybody for listening, and y'all have a good night. And stay tuned for next month. We're gonna have Dr. Leslie with Hummingbird Health. So he's gonna be talking about the healthcare and what his plans are for medical in the southern part of Belize. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned to our page so you can see what date that is. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Al.
David. Talk to you
Bye.
soon.